The Rebel has received some shocking documents through access to information filing. We, Alberta taxpayers, bought the director of the Public Affairs Bureau a luxury SUV. At the Rebel, we filed an access to information request regarding sole-sourced contracts within the Alberta government. We were looking for NDP cronies who might be getting a thank you for all their support with taxpayer dollars. But we found something different, something so shameless and disgusting, it's hard for us normal, moral people to imagine the audacity it took to pull this stunt, especially now. The documents we got back revealed the NDP rushed out to buy a new Infiniti QX50 all-wheel drive with the premium package for their new director of the Public Affairs Bureau, Mark Wells. Now, at the Rebel, we've talked about Mark Wells before. He's a former NDP staffer. He used to be a communications officer for the Alberta Union of Public Employees. His LinkedIn once used to feature a lovely letter from Rachel Notley's husband, Lou Arab, who also works for the Canadian Union of Public Employees. So Wells is a well-connected former NDP staffer and union guy, and now Wells has a sweet gig working for Rachel Notley heading up the Public Affairs Bureau. That's the communications arm of the Alberta government, and he makes between $160,000 and $220,000 just this year. That's more than enough to buy himself a luxury SUV. Now, here are some of the most interesting and audacious details of the purchase. The car itself is a luxury vehicle. It cost the government almost $43,000. And Wells made sure he got it fully loaded with the premium package. I guess you need heated seats to keep your wallet warm when it's full of all that cold, hard cash from your cushy government salary. The premium package also features the Bose stereo system and 19-inch alloy wheels. Nice. Oh, and the NDP didn't stop there. They splurged even with the 3M protective coating on the mirrors, bumper, and hood. And then they got the fancy floor mats. No plain old husky liners for these Alberta Royals. No, just premium goodies that cost about $4,500 extra. It was a rush order. The dealer quoted the price before the government tender was even issued. They just had to have this car for Wells, and they weren't about to haggle over the price the way normal people do when dealing with their own money buying cars. No way. Haggling is for us peasants and garage sales, not for luxury vehicles bought by taxpayers. And it's not like Infiniti is the regular choice for cars for the Alberta government fleet. You can see in the documents that this was an unusual purchase. The Infiniti dealer wasn't in the government vendor system for procurement. Now, the documents also show that the bureaucrats involved in the purchase repeatedly thanked the dealership for rushing the order and made note that they did not want to wait for a factory order. Now, I'm not sure what happened to Mark Wells' personal car, that he couldn't wait to get a car, or why it had to be this luxury car, but I'm pretty sure it's not my problem that he couldn't take the bus. The bureaucrats even prepared a briefing note to NDP Minister Stephanie McLean to give her advice about what to say if anyone bothered to question this purchase. In these trying economic times, the briefing note explains that the purchase is allowable under the current rules that make senior government officials and deputy ministers eligible for a car of their choice up to $43,000, with the additional costs over and above paid for the lucky driver of the brand new car. Now, isn't that what Alison Redford did? Her excuse for her constant abuse of taxpayers was basically, well, it's in the rules, so even if it's ethically wrong, that's okay. Those are the rules. So the NDP aren't driving Priuses and Nissan Leafs. They aren't driving smaller cars they keep telling us all to buy so we can survive the carbon tax. Remember that? Notley told us all to buy smaller cars. We're all supposed to drive egg-shaped cars with no cargo space, with our knees around the steering wheel, all in the name of Mother Nature. Except, of course, when you're buying a luxury car with taxpayer money for your friend you already rewarded with a nice, safe, taxpayer-funded job. Then no, you go big and you go luxury. You go Infiniti. Which is how many years it's going to take us to pay off the debt the NDP are running up. Infiniti. Remember the NDP outrage over Alison Redford's opulent Sky Palace? It was a waste of taxpayer money. Yeah, I remember. Here.
So when it comes to the wasted $175,000 on Sky Palace, there seems to be an impressive case of amnesia on the part of the entire cabinet. We've heard two directly contradictory stories, and now a senior public servant has been dragged into the PC party's sad little version of Game of Thrones. Meanwhile, accountability to Albertans is lost. So to the Premier, how can Albertans trust a cabinet that can't even keep its story straight for a session of a mere 27 days?
And remember the NDP indignation over Alison Redford's use, or rather abuse, of the government airplanes, treating them like her private winged minivan fleet? Here.
I think the Premier could benefit from a workshop on living within one's means. For public sector retirees, their means are around an average of $15,000 a year. To convert that into language the Premier can understand, that's just a touch more than a private flight back from a vacation in Palm Springs, or about 1/3 of a trip for two to South Africa.
None of that outrage or concern for taxpayers was real. It was all fake. All of it. The NDP and Rachel Notley were not mad that taxpayer money was being wasted on shiny, fancy things by the party in charge. They were really mad that they weren't the ones doing the money wasting. But don't worry, they're wasting that money now as fast as they can. They're making up for all that lost time. Poverty, misery, unemployment, and hopelessness, that's okay for all of us Albertans. We're the unwashed masses. But those realities of the bad economy, they are just not okay for the NDP and their crony friends. This reminds me of how NDP MLA Rod Loyola's favorite country, Venezuela, treats people. While the governing class, like Maduro and Hugo Chavez's daughter, lines their pockets with the country's wealth, becoming infinitely wealthy, everyone else waits in lineups for groceries and water and medicine. While Albertans are losing their jobs and facing wage rollbacks, while they're facing huge uncertain hikes in household costs from the carbon tax, while Alberta plunges deeper and deeper into debt, Notley was buying her old union pal a fancy car, a luxury car, and we paid for it. Is this the change she promised us all? Feels like a lot more of the same. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.